Right then, so welcome back to another 10 bands that I hate. And it is particularly foggy today. I made the effort to come up the hill to get some views in, and yeah, you can hardly see a damn thing, but whatever. Anyway, band number one, Godsmack. Now, I can already envision there's going to be a load of comments saying how, well, hang on, Ben, the first two albums are actually pretty damn good, but this is a band that I've never, ever taken to. It's just always seemed pretty generic to me. I believe the first album came out in '98, and I was definitely listening to way, way heavier music at that time. However, that being said, I was still listening to, some of the, I guess you'd class this as nu metal. So I was listening to some of that stuff as well, but this was just one of those bands that never stood out to me in any way. I tried out the first couple of albums, it didn't do anything for me. I've sort of dipped in every now and then throughout the years, and I remember I actually reviewed When Legends Rise. Was it When Legends Rise? Yeah, When Legends Rise. I've said that 3 times now. I reviewed that back in 2018 and was not impressed with that album whatsoever. That being said, judging by the amount of people who are clearly listening to them, if their Spotify numbers are anything to go by, I don't think they'll give a flying fuck what I think, and it's sure as hell that many people do enjoy what this band do, so more power to them, but not for me. Next up, we have a very obvious and also very controversial one with Lost Prophets. Obviously, the heinous crimes of frontman Ian Watkins is a huge part of that, but even without that hideous shite that he did, foul human being. However, even if you take out his unforgivable things that he's done, this is a band that I never enjoyed right from the beginning. They always struck me as like the cool kids trying to be the outsiders kind of thing. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe that's just my perception of them. But I've always considered myself very much an outsider. I'm sure a lot of you who listen to heavy music feel the same way, kind of the outcasts in many ways. And this, I don't know, I never got that. I never felt this band, you know what I mean? Just never resonated with me in any way. And in light of everything that's happened since as well. Ugh. Yeah. A band I never liked and certainly never will. My next pick is probably another kind of obvious one in many ways, As I Lay Dying. And Tim Lambesis, is that his name? I don't know why I should really give a shit about getting his name right, because he seems like an all-round piece of shit the more I learn about him. And there's a hell of a lot of stuff that's come out over the last couple of days regarding this guy. I mean, in regards to their music, metalcore it's not my favourite genre by any means, but I do like some of it. Killswitch Engage, of course, are the dons of it. And there are a lot of bands I like. There is some of their music that I do enjoy. They did have some bangers, but I don't know, I kind of never took to this band. And of course, there was the whole Hitman thing. Was it 2013? I remember being quite perplexed hearing the band were reforming. And all I could think was, aren't you the guy who tried to have his wife killed? Wouldn't that be just going through your head? But then again, having said that, a lot of the stuff that's been coming out over the last couple of days, he does seem like quite a narcissistic person. I've known a lot of people like that in my life, so maybe that's part of it. Maybe I'm putting my own sort of personal shite on this one. Not only that, there was recent footage of him beating his dog quite a lot. And that's, fucking gross. Much like Lost Prophets, this is just one of those bands that I never really took to at all. Kind of, some of their music was kind of okay, but it just didn't. Music resonates with you or it doesn't. You know what I mean? I think to a certain extent you don't get to choose what you like, and this was just one of those bands that never did it for me, so fuck them. My next pick is Maroon 5. But hang on, Ben, you put them in your last video. Yes, I did, and I was absolutely shocked at how many of you stood up for them. Fuck you. Fuck them. Fuck Maroon 5. They're in here again. That's right, I've taken up a valuable space to just reiterate, fuck Maroon 5. Next up, we've got a band that might agitate a few people, I'm not sure. Audio Slave. I just never took to this band at all. I'm a huge Soundgarden fan. I love Soundgarden. And Chris Cornell, rest in peace, as an amazing frontman, an amazing singer, an amazing songwriter. And I'm not a huge Rage Against the Machine fan, but I definitely enjoyed a lot of their stuff back in the day. So when I heard that these guys were forming a band together, I was really excited. And I remember seeing the video for Cochise and thinking, oh, this is pretty cool. I mean, it was very, very Zeppelin. You know, it was very Zeppelin. But I thought, okay, you know, this is pretty good. And then I got the album and just, it just didn't really resonate with me. I think one of the things that I love so much about Soundgarden is they were never afraid to take chances. They always did. You never really knew fully what you were going to get from a Soundgarden album. There was always ebbs and flows and all sorts of different stuff. But I mean, there were a couple of decent tracks that they had without a doubt. But I know there are a lot of fans of this band, and I can understand why. But for me, I don't know, this is one of those ones where I just see a lot of lost opportunity. You know what I mean? I was expecting a lot more. Not a fan, not for me. Next up, we've got a non-heavy one, although, I mean, some of the others weren't necessarily heavy, but The Strokes. Oh, God, I really don't like this band at all. I think a lot of this has to do with, what's the fucking, was it Last Night? Oh, God, that fucking song. If I could never hear that again. I mean, during the early 2000s, when this came out, was prime time for me out clubbing and getting fucked up all the time. And you couldn't escape this fucking song. It was just everywhere. I could never stand the jangly guitars, and I wasn't a big fan of his voice. And it's just one of the, it just makes me wince every time I hear this song. It's just fucking, ooh, and it's tainted everything else they've ever done. I will confess, Reptilia is a good song. I do enjoy that song. That's a pretty damn decent tune, but everything else they've done, I just have this kind of almost Pavlovian response of just, ooh, no. My next pick is a band that I would be more than happy to be proven wrong about with their upcoming next album, and that is Arch Enemy. I really enjoyed the Angela era. I actually remember seeing them live on, I can't remember which tour it was, but they were either supporting Machine Head or co-headline with Machine Head, I think it was, or with Slayer, I can't remember. And they were amazing live. Angela prowled the stage. Not only is she an obvious goddess, but I've never seen anybody own a space so much. You know, she just exuded, this is my fucking stage. Pretty phenomenal. And Alicia, I think, is a great vocalist, but she's not being utilised properly. I think there was an episode of Thralls of Metal. I can't remember when it was, but I seem to remember them talking about the fact that Michael Amott has just fallen into this lazy songwriting, just doing the same thing over and over again, this safe stuff, not really utilising other people enough. I don't think he utilised Jeff Loomis, who's obviously a phenomenal guitar player and has now gone back to Nevermore, which is going to be very interesting to hear what he does. So yeah, I think Alicia is definitely somebody who's more than capable, but she's not really been utilised properly. Now, I have heard some reports of the latest album. There was a recent interview with Michael where he was saying they've torn up the rule book for this one. So I'm hoping that means they're going to be taking some chances. I think the last single that I heard, actually, I was kind of impressed by it. It sounded pretty good. So this is a band that I'm very much hoping. I would love nothing more than for the new album to come out in March, I think it is. I would love nothing more than for that album to come out and me to be completely blown away by it. This isn't a band I've written off at all, but I've just found so much of their latest stuff boring, generic, same old shit, catering to the crowd. And it frustrates me because this is a band that clearly has a lot of talent, and it really annoys me. There's a part of me that really dislikes this band, and there's another part of me that is totally open to them proving me wrong. I would love nothing more than that. I want the new album to be a banger. I would love to review that album in March and just be completely blown away by it. But as it stands at this moment, I just cannot be bothered with this band at all. So there. My next pick is another non-metal one. And I chose this one because this is a band that I truly loathe. Jet. Ooh. I detest this band even more than The Strokes. What was the damn song? Are You Gonna Be My Girl? Oh my fucking God, I hate that fucking shit. Terrible fucking song. So much, you know, it's just another one of those songs that was just everywhere. It's always got that jangly kind of cool kids trying to be rock and roll. I hated the vocals. I still hate the vocals. Kind of reeked of a band who wore too many accessories. You know what I mean? Kind of like when you see Johnny Depp playing live. I mean, you know, I used to be a big fan of Johnny Depp, but a lot of times when I see him now, it's just like, what the fuck are you? It's like, you know, it's like you're playing a rock star. Ugh. I'm not going to waste much breath on these guys. Jet, shit band. Always hated them, always will. Says a man walking around in a field. Okay, my penultimate pick for this video is Stone Sour. Now, I've been a fan of Slipknot for a long time. You know, I kind of go in and out with them band. Definitely prefer a lot of the earlier stuff, but they're still kicking out some good stuff. Stone Sour, a band I've struggled with for a long time. And I finally reached the conclusion quite a few years ago that I just really cannot stand this band. I mean, I do love the track 30-31-50. Also, that was a really great track, but overall, I can't abide this band, really. There's just something nauseating about them. I don't know what it is. I remember hearing Get Inside when it was released. Was it 2002, I think it was? And that was by far the heaviest track on the album. And they obviously chose that as the lead single to appease Slipknot fans. And I remember getting the album and listening to it and kind of being, okay, this is not what I was expecting. Bother is a great track. I still think that's a great song. But I was just really unimpressed with this album. Then we had the build up to the second album. I remember, like I said, 30-31-50, really enjoying that song. And then getting that album and having a similar response of just like, no, I don't like this at all. Was it Through Glass? Fuck off. I could easily never hear that fucking song again. Ugh. I went with a bunch of friends to a festival. I can't remember when it was. Must have been a good 15 years or so ago now, and Stone Sour were playing. And we went over to see them. And there was something about the way they played. Corey really irritated me for some reason. I'm not a Corey hater. You know, I think he said some very smart things. I think he said some very dumb things. But either way, he is who he is. He's a very charismatic guy. He's a great vocalist. But there was something about his performance that really fucking irked me for some reason. I do know why, but I'm not going to say. You'll never know. And from that point on, I was just kind of like, no, I cannot abide this band now. Just, yeah, I know they got plenty of fans. They're certainly not hurting. And I do respect the grind, so to speak. I respect the fact that Corey Taylor is one of those people who's always creating, always putting stuff out. But Stone Sour just never does it for me. It just lacks something. There's just something that doesn't do it for me. No. And my final pick for today's video is Damage Plan. Now, I could have quite easily have chosen Hell Yeah, but to be honest, I'd already kind of zoned out by that point. Damage Plan, I was very disappointed with. I think this one actually, more than anything, highlights how important chemistry is with bands. You know, we always have there's always those bullshit lists, unlike this one, where people talk about, oh, you know, imagine if you had the drummer from this band and the guitarist from this band and the vocalist from this band, it'd be the best band ever. And it's like, that's not how it works. Bands work on chemistry. The chances of making it as a successful band, the odds of it are actually ridiculously small. Not only do you have to have the talent, you have to have the songs, you have to have the timing, the luck to an extent. You have to all have the same work ethic. But there also has to be a chemistry between all of the people involved. Some of the greatest songs written, some of the greatest albums written were from bands who couldn't stand each other, but there was something about the chemistry of that group of people together. And this really kind of proves just how much the four guys in Pantera really made something special. Now, I'm a huge Pantera fan. They were one of the biggest bands in my life for many years in the 90s. I'm sure like a lot of people who are my age watching these videos as well. But the Damage Plan album just had nothing for me, that it just didn't do anything for me whatsoever. I mean, there were a couple of standouts. The title track I thought was pretty cool. Pride is a good song, but there's just so much of this album that just, yeah, it's just kind of nothing there really. It's just kind of, again, generic kind of boring stuff. It's kind of strange, the legacy of Pantera, because they were this huge band in my life, and there's been so much tragedy involved with that band. Of course, the tragic passing of Dimebag, lost Vinny in 2018, was it? All the shit with Phil and his addictions. You know, they went from being the peak of metal to kind of this, like, what the fuck has happened? And this album was just a very saddening one for me. Really, I think the reason I'm putting this one on the list is because, much like Arch Enemy, there was so much potential here. You know, Dimebag and Vinny, undoubtedly incredible musicians, incredible songwriters, and there was just none of that really on this album. Hell Yeah was a completely other thing. Like I said, I'd already kind of zoned out by the time Hell Yeah came along. There we go, 10 bands that I hate. Of course, anyone who's watched these videos will know by now I don't really hate any of these bands. It's just a pithy title for the video. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree. Normally at this point in the video, this is where I say I'm going to go off and enjoy this view now, but I can't see a fucking thing. So that's a good way to end the video, isn't it? Anyway, I'll probably be back next week with another 10 bands who never sold out. So I enjoyed doing that first video, and it's a bit more of a positive one. And in fact, it is going to be the next video because I'm going to go and film it now and get it ready. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. I'm going on too long. Leave your comments. I'll catch you later. Bye, bye, bye.